First of all, I'd like to join with the Chair in relation to school meals programme. We have a major problem with suppliers, and there's not too many suppliers in it. Not being able to provide a dinner, I think it's €2 or something for a dinner, or €2.50 or €2.40 or something in that region for a hot dinner. It's not an awful lot of money. We're not being overcharged here, but a hot plate costs a bit more than that, and this is for grown youngsters who should be eating out of house and home. Minister, just going back in this partial capacity, could you get us the numbers in receipt of full rate, half rate, partial capacity? In other words, the full rate invalidity and allowed to work, and the various grades down. I don't think it's huge. And as I say, I think maybe when you look at the numbers and when you consider it and when you realise that these have at least a moderate disability, that it would be better to give it, because as I said, in a lot of cases, work is intermittent. Can I just say, Minister, on that one too, I had a totally separate person who was refused invalidity. Now, if they'd been on invalidity, there was no problem that it got partial capacity, because this person has MS. And what they were getting paid for, now I thought this was an extraordinary decision in the department. What they were getting paid for was interacting with the university by telling the university how the MS was progressing and the effects it was having on them. And they were getting a stipend for doing this stuff was PAYE-able. And they were considered to be working. Now, I thought that was harsh. And what we had to do is say, stop the work, apply for invalidity, and then when you get on it, go and apply for partial capacity. Now, particularly when you take the circumstances of it, where the illness was the reason that they were, and the advanced stage of the illness was the reason that they were of huge research interest. I just thought that that was very difficult. I understand you can't make rules for hard cases, and I understand all that, but I just thought it was a little bit when it was that black and white, and anybody in an equivalent situation. But can I go back and say, can we find out how the number on partial capacity, because I think it's very small. And can I then further suggest that if that number is small, as I think it'll be, along that they all have moderate or severe or profound disabilities, that they get the disability of 400, and that we wouldn't be arguing about it. Now, the second one is this. I really, really welcome your commitment on the means testing. I really welcome that. I think that's a major breakthrough. There are other issues in means testing I'll be back to you on, and you know about them, but we'll park those for a day when you're ahead quit, and I accept that. Can I just ask, you said that it had been costed and it was 50 million. What was costed? I want the detail. In other words, what changes would cost 50 million? I think that would be very, very helpful, because it's no good saying something's going to cost 50 million. You know, a car could cost 100,000 and a car could cost 30,000 depending on the car you're buying. So what I'd like is if we could either hear or again maybe send to the committee the details of what would cost 50 million.
Thank you. Minister.
Okay, well, just to say that when I'm doing this review, I'll be looking at the detailed costings. So you know, the figure I have at the minute is 50 million, but I think when we go, 50 million for the first for the means assessment of capital for the first 50,000 to be exempt, and reducing it down, 20,000 should be assessed at €10 a week, 10,000 and the balance at €20 per week. They looked at that, using that formula for calculating capital means a disability allowance applicant with 150,000 in savings and no dependents would be assessed as having 350 weekly means. But basically, it's the 50 million it's a broad figure, except that. So what I'm saying to you is that when we get into the detail of looking at the different means tests that I think we should change, by the way. I'm of the view, I'm on the same page as you on this, that we'll be able to get a better and maybe a more detailed look at what exactly it will cost.
But can I also say to you, normally the Department of Public Expenditure love things that decrease over time. Isn't that right? Things that increase over time, exponentially, they hate. Now, in this case, over the next 20, 30 years, the number of dependent adults, for example, are going to reduce because more people are going to have pension rights in their own right, particularly taking the caring years into allowance. More of them will have worked to get the 10 years paid contributions. Other ones are going to also decrease over time. So I don't think that anybody could make the allegation that this is going to be an increasing cost over time. That 50 million, even if you do cost it, will probably drop over time, looking at the schemes affected.
No, I agree with you there, because there's more people are in the workforce now than ever before. Just to say that on the partial capacity benefit, the cost of the lump sum payment of €500 would be 1.6 million, and there's about 3,200 people on the scheme. So that's the 3,200.
Yeah. And I just think 3,200, yeah. 1.2 million, as I said, the 1.2 million, if you divide, the way I always do this, billions and billions, because it's very hard to get your head around it.
But they all add up, you see,
yeah,
that's my problem.
I know that, I do accept that, but I used to always reckon that if you've got a budget of 24,000 million, and 1 million out of that is the equivalent of saving €1 per annum if you're 24,000. And it's only when you put it into those contexts you see how trivial it is. I used to always give the case when we were trying to save money because times were hard, that saving 1 million was the equivalent to the kid when there was a family crisis sitting around the table and the parents were explaining the income had gone down and they'd lost their job and whatever, and the kid said, I give €1 pocket money per year, that's my contribution. The parents would be grateful, but they'd say it wasn't really going to change the sums. Now the 1 million, even the 1.2 million, I think you said, is not really going to cost anything. And I just think it's one of these ones that's just a little bit on the mean side. And I'm not blaming you, I think it hasn't been thought out right.
I think the Minister
is committed to looking at it in relation to the cost of disability, so we look forward to a report back on that.
I will. Can I just come back on the school lunches there? Yeah. I'm very committed to that programme, and you know that, and it has been expanded, and it's there's 270,000 or maybe more children avail of it now, just off the whole school meals programme, and I want to ramp up the hot school meals. I'm also conscious that the cost of food has gone up. For a hot meal, the suppliers get $2.90 per hot meal. That's what the rate is at the minute. But there is an evaluation, because I've had a number of people on to me saying we can't deliver these dinners at this price, and I want to make sure they get a decent dinner. There's no doubt about that. The children, they deserve it. So I have commissioned an evaluation of the school meals programme, where all elements of the programme are going to be considered, and that will include the rates payable under the scheme, and also is there anything better we can do in terms of the future direction of the scheme. As far as I'm concerned, we should be increasing it all the time, and my aim has always been that every child in the country, regardless of their background or anything else, and regarding their socio-economic background, should get that dinner in the middle of the day, and we should do that and just get on it. But I just can't do it all at once. But I will be looking at the evaluation, and I'll have that by the end of the year. So I'm very conscious. I don't want people saying we want to stop providing the school meals. I don't want that to happen. But I just have to finish this evaluation and do the whole thing, and we can look at the rates at that stage as part of that. And Deputy Ó Cuív mentioned that particular case. If you just give us the details of that particular case with the person that has MS, we're happy to look at that. Oh, right.
I'm doing what I said.
What you did, yeah, but it's sort of thing. It's not what we're, yeah, okay, right. Well, if it's resolved, it's resolved. But if you still want to give me the details.
We had to go a long way around the mountain, and it meant signing off and so on.
Yeah. Okay, and then you just wonder why you should have to go around the mountain. But anyway, but if you want to give them to me, I'm happy to have a look at it, so maybe we can make some tweaks to some things. But having said that, if you make a tweak for one thing, you could have a whole platter of stuff on your plate that you didn't realise was coming. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you.